Join us as we go beyond the pixels in the Gamer's Edge podcast, the show that takes you behind the scenes of video gaming. Each episode dives into the realms of gaming and esports, bringing you exclusive interviews with both rising stars and seasoned veterans, coaches, insightful commentators, and industry leaders. So whether you're an aspiring pro gamer, a dedicated fan, or simply curious about the inner workings of gaming and esports, grab your headset and join us on this thrilling adventure through the virtual arenas where victory, camaraderie, and endless adventure await.
And I love that they've defended against these bombardments without popping bubble. They're going to have bubble late here. Here comes the drop from Cloud9. It all comes down to this. NRG, Cloud9. You see Sweet right now with the Volt in his hand. He connects for 80. Brings him down to 1 HP. He gets knocked. Cloud9 performing. But RamBeau in the line. RamBeau is going to queue his way up and finally survive. And RamBeau wins. RamBeau is a monster.
GMT takes game number 1 and their song comes through for GMT. Takes the pain out of
What is up, guys? Welcome into episode 2 of the Gamer's Edge podcast. I am joined today by Beau, aka RamBeau. Maybe, possibly this season, RevBeau. Are we gonna see that return?
We'll see, man. I always loved playing Revenant, man. And for everybody out there, don't ever forget, I'm the only person to ever win an ALGS on Revenant in North America. So I am the North America Revenant. So we'll see.
Well, you're also the 3-time MVP for ALGS, correct?
Yes, sir. Three MVPs under the belt right now. So yeah.
Now, this is the big question. I was gonna save this for later, but since we're right here, you said under the belt right now. Are we gonna see a return to competitive?
As of right now, I actually genuinely don't have any plans at the moment, but I still have some competitive firepower. I feel like I still got some lift in the tank, but it'll definitely take something special and the right opportunity. I'm not gonna rush into anything. Just gonna grind, and then if a good opportunity presents itself, then I'll get back into it. I know I'm still one of the best, and still got something to prove, and hopefully one day I'll be able to prove it again.
Yeah, definitely, in my opinion, one of the underrated people in the Apex arena, however you want to call it, in my opinion. Even though you do, again, have 3 MVPs, it's almost like you got kind of overshadowed by certain bigger figures, such as like Imperial Hal or some of these guys that really go out there and put their name out there. You kind of get overshadowed by them just a little bit. But I think your track record, I mean, we won't touch into too much of the controversy of you with Dark, but the fact that they kind of went out and got you to go away from Sentinels and everything like that, I think kind of speaks to just how good you really are. There's still, I'm sure, a lot of teams that would love to have someone like you on their team. But this is where I do got to lead into a slight question here for you. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Now, I'm sure you received a ton of backlash from the decision, but at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for yourself. But is there any regrets on how everything kind of went down?
I don't have any regrets about my decision, because I generally, like, none of that, I've said it in the past, but like my decision was not like premeditated. Like I generally, when I left Sentinels, I had no plan, of joining another team. But the opportunity was like too good at the time, and it would have been like stupid for me to pass up. So I don't regret the decision I made. I kind of regret a little bit how I handled it, probably. Like I regret in the sense that like I should have reached out to Keon and RKN at the time when I made my decision. Been like, look, like reiterated to them that it wasn't like premeditated, and that my decision really had nothing to do with them. I generally wanted to take time off, and that was my plan originally, and that's what I ended up doing anyway. But my original plan was to take time off for the summer and kind of like just enjoy life for a little bit because I've been going hard at the game and hard at comp for 3 years. So it would have been a nice break, but yeah, like I said, the opportunity presented itself at the time, and I received a lot of backlash for it, and like I understood some of it. I'm not dumb. I get how at the time it didn't look so good on my part, but as the old saying goes, shit happens, and we move on. So
Hey, like I said, end of the day, you got to do what's best for you and your situation. Uh,
always.
Now, of course, you mentioned wanting that time off and everything like that. You actually just got back from vacation, and I'm going to go ahead and dub you the king of the beach vibe. How was snorkeling and spearfishing and all that, man?
Yeah, dude. So it was really cool. I was fortunate enough to spend my summer down in the Florida Keys and like Key West and stuff in the Caribbean. And yeah, man, just enjoying life, being on the boat, spearfishing, snorkeling, all that good stuff. Wakeboarding a little bit, and yeah, man, it was really needed for my mental and for me to like recharge my batteries because, like I said, I've been going hard at this for like 3 years, and um, the life of a competitive player is pretty stressful. It's a lot of fun when you're doing good, but it's like one of the shittiest feelings in the world when you're doing bad. So I was definitely glad I was able to take some time off and for the first time in a while take a vacation and actually like enjoy myself and not have to worry about being on every day to scrim or being on every day to play and grind and get away from my computer. So I was very happy, man. It was awesome. I'm glad to be back. And yeah.
Well, I got a two-parter here for you. Glad that you are recharging the batteries, but you did say, when you're doing bad and you got to get that mental regain. But technically, I mean, you placed second and then kind of went back into retirement. So definitely still leaving on that high note. But the biggest thing, and one of the big reasons why I wanted to do this podcast, is you see a lot of guys, especially the younger guys that are coming up. A lot of people just look at that and they're like, oh, you play video games for a living. I don't think anybody really takes into account the time and the grind that it takes and the mental wear that it puts on you, getting on every day, grinding for 8 to 10 hours via the game and everything like that. So I definitely want to open people up to who you truly are so that they can actually see you as a person instead of this guy just sitting behind the controller and everything like that. So I definitely want to say thank you for coming on. But you put out this controversial tweet today. I mean, how is beers before golf not higher on the list?
Dude, the first tee box beer is definitely an elite beer for sure. But yeah, man, I don't know, man. Something about that tailgate. I'm a big football fan. The college I attended, Florida State. They've pretty good football program over the years, man. I've been fortunate enough to go to a lot of games, and there's only we only get six or seven home games a year if we're lucky. So not that often do I get to have a tailgate beer, but when I do, it's deleted pretty quickly. But yeah, so it's definitely it's my first only because it happens literally like less than the golf beer. You know what I mean? That's why that's what went into my decision. But trust me, the golf beer is definitely elite still.
I understand that. You don't see very many people outside of an arena before. Oh man, before I go into this like optic major or something, because of course I'm from Texas. So like before this optic major, let's tailgate in the parking lot. You don't see that going down.
Not many people tailgate before esports events. Yeah.
Now you did mention Florida State. Were you a part of, or does Florida State have an esports program? And what kind of led you into the competitive nature or the competitive arena?
Yeah. So back when I was at Florida State, we had just started getting into esports. Actually, I was there. My freshman year was like 2015, and I think it started roughly around then. But they didn't have any. I think the only team they had at the time was maybe like a League of Legends team or something like that, kind of like a MOBA, like they're kind of more into MOBAs and stuff. And then I think they eventually got a COD team around my sophomore junior year. But yeah, I didn't really play much. I wasn't a part of the esports program at the time, like I said, because I wasn't big into MOBAs. I was kind of like only a shooter guy at the time. So, um, but yeah, but what kind of led me into like the whole esports thing was actually this kind of crazy story. I was finishing up my degree and COVID happened. And so everything kind of went digital and kind of went online, and all of our classes and everything went to Zoom and went to like I said, through digital, through webcam. So a lot of time was spent at home, while the world was kind of shut down. So which means a lot more gaming, a lot more free time. So I took that time and I just started playing games, and then I picked up Apex like in I want to say March of 2020, like a few weeks after like COVID kind of started, spreading around, and found out I was really good at it, man. It was a lot of fun, and that kind of trickled down from there. And then yeah, that's kind of how I got into esports. I started playing on Xbox, and then a couple months later, I switched over to PC, and yeah, started my little Apex career.
Now, that was not, of course, with Godsent. What was the first team that you were on, and how did you get into playing with a actual orgs? I think Godsent was your first actual
Right.
org to play with. How did you get involved with those guys?
Yeah. So my first actual team was Clane and this guy named Swersy, and we actually all came over from Xbox. So that was how I found my team. I was luckily didn't have to like search very hard. We kind of like came over and was like all ready to compete. But we played in our first ALGS back then. I think it was like online tournament number 5, maybe OT6, like one of the two. And we actually made it to finals, which was pretty big at the time because we were like nobodies, like nobody even knew who we were. So it's a pretty big deal. And then we played, I think we got like 12th or whatever in our first finals. And then our name kind of started to get out there. And then I ended up being offered like to join Godsent with Kubski at the time to represent them, which was cool. And then yeah, that was I think still to this day my longest tenured team. I was with Kubski for a little, gosh, I want to say almost a year, which is pretty crazy to think about because teams kind of change around all the time. But
Big time.
yeah, that was a really good time. In our prime on that team, I'd say we were top 5 team in NA, which is pretty awesome.
Well, that kind of leads me to my next question here for you. You mentioned the transitions that go on with roster. I know a lot of people hype up the roster mania from Call of Duty and stuff like that, but I think they'd be mind blown if they see the roster mania that goes on with Apex. And of course, we talked about Godsent, and I'm not even sure if Godsent is in Apex anymore.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, no, I don't think they are. Or I know for a fact they're definitely not.
And so my question is, how does that kind of make you feel? You see Godsent, you see Torrent, you see all these teams that you've played for kind of bowing out. Is that just the nature of esports, or is there something maybe that Apex can kind of change? Is there any dynamic that you see as a player that is causing these things to happen?
Yeah, so I think the whole thing with like esports orgs right now, I think I think across the board, I think funding has kind of been a problem from my understanding, and I think a lot of that has to do with esports really started to get hot kind of during the COVID time because everything went digital, and so a lot of people were pumping money into gaming, into esports markets, etc. And now that everything is like it's almost like COVID really doesn't exist anymore right now, that it just kind of like fell off the planet. So now that everything's kind of back open and all that kind of stuff, I think, people are, putting their money or their funding into other things instead of just game, just digital, as compared to 2, 3 years ago. So I think that's part of it. I think too, once teams experience a game and they do good in it or do well in it, have a team, and then the team kind of dissolves or drops, I think they kind of just leave it as is, kind of like leave on a high note a little bit. But it's pretty cool to see. When I first joined Apex, there wasn't that many orgs in the scene, especially North America. There was only really like TSM, Sentinels, NRG, Rogue at the time, but they ended up dropping out. And there's really only like 5-6 orgs, and now there's like what 15, 20 plus now.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty cool to actually see the evolution over the years of a lot more orgs being in the scene now that Apex is probably like one of the top 3 premier esports out there right now, competitive wise. So
I would definitely
yeah.
agree. I at least top 5.
Yeah, definitely top 5. Depending on who you talk to, top 3. So it's been pretty cool to see, man. All the orgs that are flowing into the game. I think it's really awesome for the scene, and it's really awesome to see a bunch more players get opportunities to play video games for a living, which I think is just badass.
And now, of course, we mentioned top 3, top 5. I would put them in top 3. Simply, I think it's also top 3 because it is global. Whereas you see Call of Duty, they are mainly every org is NA now, and more than half the league is based out of Dallas, even though they franchise out to different cities. Most orgs rep out of Dallas.
Right.
And then we've seen Halo come out with a bang, but fortunately, as a Halo fan, it's unfortunate for me to see the decline there, especially on the competitive side. But you have games like Apex, which is big around the world, opens it up to a global market. And really the only games that I see, it's going to go out on a limb, but I would put Apex as the number 1 shooter. And again, that just goes to the worldwide touch of it. But number 3, because of course League of Legends and Dota would just dominate. Yeah. But Apex for me is number 1, a little bit above CSGO, just barely. But that has allowed you to travel the world a little bit. Can you talk about that first time, especially when you left Torrent? Well, you didn't leave Torrent. You got loaned out to GMT.
Right.
And I believe that was in Europe, correct?
No, so that was in Raleigh, North Carolina. That one.
Oh man, I apologize. Then I'm thinking of a different time then. But you have, if I am correct, you have been over to Europe from playing Apex, correct?
Yeah. I went over to London earlier this year in February to compete.
So how was that, being able to travel, really travel to play a game and compete? How is that feeling, and what's it like over there compared to Florida?
Yeah, well, it's definitely a lot different than Florida, weather-wise. It's sunny and really hot over here, and then you go over there and it's just the word I use for it is like mucky. It's like cold and damp, and there's not much sunlight. But yeah, man, to be able to say I can travel to play video games was been pretty cool the last few years and whatnot, and something cool to tell my friends. My friends seeing me do that, and my family. I never would have thought in my life that I'd be fortunate enough to travel and do something that I love, like that, and do it for money. So it's a pretty cool experience, man. I was very, very blessed to do it, and then like I said, maybe one day I'll be able to do it again.
I'm gonna knock on wood. I had a question already lined up, but you saying that, man, gives me hope. Because again, I consider you one of my favorites, so I definitely want to see you competing again. I did mention the loan from Torrent to GMT, and you go in and y'all make Championship Sunday. You do everything with GMT. What is that like, being on a new team, kind of thrust on to a new team? How much time did you have to prepare for that? And man, just kind of talk me through that last bit and going for gold.
Yeah, man. So it was a pretty crazy experience, playing in that tournament. Like the first day I was like super hungover. I'd never played competitive with Nasky and Dell up until that point. So it was a pretty crazy experience that whole weekend for me, really. And but I'm the type of player, man. I feel like as long as the vibes in the team are high, I perform my best. And me and Nasky are really close and really good friends, and we were even before that tournament. So me and him kind of just bounced off each other, and it made it really easy for me and really comfortable for me to kind of just step in and do my thing. So Yeah, man, that was definitely like a life-changing event for me and experience for me, and something I'll remember forever.
And again, do want to say big thank you here to Beau for joining us today, man. Now, we talked a little bit about controversy earlier. We're going to sway back into it. Of course, you played for the Guard, and you actually played quite a bit of tournaments for them. And of course, we saw the collapse of the Guard, or slight collapse of the Guard. Was that something that weighed heavy on you? Has that kind of deterred you? I know we said you needed a break and everything like that from the grind. Was that also a reason, seeing the org, seeing the roster mania as we talked about from Apex, is that part of the reason why you needed that mental break?
I wouldn't say so. It was definitely sad to see the Guard, kind of fall apart like that. Because I was fortunate enough to go over to LA where they were stationed out and see everybody and hang out with everybody in the org, and everybody in that org was just amazing and just fun to be around. And I definitely miss all those people that worked there. And yeah, it was definitely very sad to see the Guard go for sure. I would have loved to have stayed on that org for a while, no doubt. Um, but I wouldn't say it weighed on my decision. I think kind of just getting burned out of the game and was kind of probably my main decision on wanting to take a break. At the time.
Now, I believe if right during your tenure for the Guard, you subbed for Sentinels before signing with them. Am I correct on that?
No, no, no. So when the Guard got everybody, a lot of like all the people got cut from the Guard and stuff like that. We were allowed to like shop options for like other teams, and if another team wanted to sign us and stuff like that, and see. So then Sentinels hit us up, and we were able to sign with Sentinels. I think like 3 or 4 weeks after the Guard stuff happened.
Oh, nice. Well, at least it was the bounce back opportunity like right away.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty cool. We were fortunate. We were a really good team up until that point. So I knew we were gonna get something. No matter what, another good offer.
Now I know you yourself, you're a controller player. So are you Xbox controller or PlayStation controller?
Xbox controller, my friend. I've grew up playing Xbox. I think I only had a PlayStation one time during my life, maybe when I was like really, really younger. But yeah, I've been an Xbox dude pretty much my whole life.
Hey, same here. I have the PS4, but that's just a big paperweight. It
Yeah.
collects dust. It's Xbox all day. Even now that I am PC, Xbox controller.
Yes, sir.
Well, let me know what are plans for the future. What's next year? What's next week even? I mean, are you just kind of vibing right now? You just got back from vacation. I know you are streaming and stuff. You're back on streams, but is it just, sit back and kick it for a while? Gonna pursue a different passion maybe?
Yeah, I kind of have. There's a couple of kind of things I want to do. I kind of want to just do like content stuff for a while, kind of just stream, have fun, like find, my passion for it again, and just play the game, just grind ranked and stuff for a while, without like that competitive stress, because I've never really had that during my time playing Apex. I've kind of always had to put comp first. I haven't been able to really like just grind the game and have fun without having to worry about like scrims or tournaments and stuff like that. So I'd like to go down that avenue for a little bit. um See where that takes me, at least through probably the rest of this year. And yeah, and then I want to get into like other things. I want to do like YouTube, but not for gaming. I want to do kind of like a lifestyle YouTube. I've always wanted to do that for a while, and I haven't yet, and I've always kind of wanted to just put a camera around like kind of my life and see or show people like what what my life is like, outside of gaming, because I've always said like gaming is what I do, but it's not who I am. There's a lot of other interests I have in life and a lot of other things I like to do. I want to like show people like, a day in the life kind of what I do, like whether it's like, go to the beach, surf, paddleboard, or if it's, go out in the ocean and, snorkel and spearfish on a reef or something. And kind of stuff like that. I'd really like to get into that and just yeah, just kind of like a day-to-day life of like operations stuff like that. But I don't know. I kind of got some cool ideas and stuff. But for the time being, I kind of want to just enjoy playing the game again, stream, and just do some content. Like I said, without that competitive stress.
Nice. You mentioned that day in the life. Now, when I was talking to Evan, of course, Rain Day, he was episode 1, so we just spoke with him. When I did mention you were going to be episode 2, he said to make sure to tell you what's up. And he said, man, if I know RamBeau, if I know Beau, he's sitting on a beach somewhere right now, probably with a beer in his hand, relaxing. So I did want to say he did send his love and shout you out and say what's up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Rain Day's the homie, man. He's such a great guy, and we actually share the same birthday, so it's pretty cool,
nice.
man. Yeah, September 18th, man. So it's pretty cool actually. But yeah, man, he's a great dude, and always wish him the best.
Well, then, a happy early birthday to y'all, both of them coming up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Today, my son actually turns 4. So, yeah.
Heck yeah.
Happy birthday to him. He gets
Happy birthday to him. Heck yeah.
He gets to hang out with Dad today. So,
there you go. There you go.
make sure you're hitting RamBeau up on Twitch and supporting this man, because it is going to be great content. It's always a great vibe with him on the stream and everything like that. But I do have to ask, what is home life like right now? Like, not per se hitting the reef and everything like that, just like what, going out, girlfriend life, family. What are they thinking seeing you, of course, jet set off, come back? Now you're going to go do the reef thing. I know for me, myself, my son, my oldest son, he's 12, and he's huge into Rainbow Six Siege, and he keeps telling me, Dad, I want to start streaming. I want to get into Siege. He wants to start watching the comp of Siege at 12. So it's that weird time of, as a gamer, as a guy that competed in Halo 3 way back many moons ago, at a young age and stuff. I want to help him pursue that. But at the same time, it's like, son, the percentage that make it, and now you're going into a not so much mainstream game in Rainbow Six. I want him to kind of pump the brakes and kind of look around at everything, but at the same time, I don't want to hold him back, and I want him to be able to pursue that. So how is that family dynamic like for you?
Yeah, I was very fortunate enough to always get the support from my mom to kind of like do what I wanted to do, like I want to do. She's always supported me and told me to, like, I know it sounds like cliche, but like, chase your dreams and stuff. So she even actually went over to London with me at the last LAN I played at. So yeah, she's always been super supportive, which I've been, like I said, fortunate enough to have. So she's always been like kind of my biggest supporter in that sense. And I've always been kind of like lucky to have her. My family life is kind of like, over the last, few years, it hasn't been like the best, I like kind of like hide a lot of that stuff from, social media and stuff. But she's always kind of, been there for me and been that one person to like kind of have, like lean my head, or like lean my head on, or that shoulder to lean on. So that's been really nice.
Yeah, definitely need that rock.
Yeah, you gotta have that rock, man. You gotta have that one person. So luckily it's been her. But yeah, man. Like I said, no girlfriends too. I heard you said no girlfriends right now. No date life for me. I'm kind of just soloing it around right now, kind of having fun. But
see, now your DMs are about to fill up.
I don't know about all that, but yeah, nothing right now. I'm kind of just doing me, focusing on myself, trying to get my shit together, get my ducks in a row, as you could say, before I entertain anything.
No, hey, I feel you. Well, my last question for you, because I don't want to keep you. I do appreciate you coming on and doing this favor for me. But my last question for you is this. You mentioned your mom and the feeling that that gave you. Would you say that in competitive, that has been the best moment, is being able to share that with your mom, who's been your rock, and having her travel with you and being able to have her see what you do on the grand stage? Or is there another memory from gaming that kind of takes that top spot?
Yeah, I would say I'll give you a couple of it. Top spot definitely I think has been traveling with my mom or like experiencing like my successes with her, even my failures really like um you got to celebrate your successes just as much as your failures. So being able to travel with her and for her to watch me play like a live event, in front of a lot of people and for a lot of money is pretty cool. And a lot of people get to really say that. So I'm lucky in that sense. And then yeah, it's definitely my top. And then I would say like my give you two others. My second best was probably winning my first like decently big tournament in Apex. It was like a Nerd Street. I think it was like worth $10,000 or something like that. That was really big for me. It was like in January of 2021. It was like the first tournament I won. That like kind of gave me the belief that like I deserve to be here and that I like know I can do this. It's always they always say it's like the first one is always the toughest to win, and then after that, winning kind of can come easy.
Yeah.
Um,
And if correct me if I'm wrong, but it almost seems like you kind of rode that momentum into the loan out for GMT, because didn't you win that slightly before the loan to GMT?
yeah, a little bit. It was like no, so that was like 2021 was the first tournament. The GMT thing was like summer of 2022.
Oh, okay.
But that like tournament like sparked me like to like push and like realize that like I could do it. What I mean? So that was good. And then the third thing was probably signing to my first like big org and like actually getting paid salary to play a video game monthly. That was like definitely one of those moments where I was like, holy shit, like I'm like actually doing the damn thing, you know what I mean? I'm actually like getting paid like, decent and good to play a video game. So shout out to XSET for that. That was like the first org I really well, I guess Flashpoint too. Flashpoint, shout out to them too. They were paying me to play when we were balling, but XSET definitely was like the first big org that kind of got me going and was being good to me. So yeah, man, I would say those are the top three for sure. Definitely so far in my gaming career.
Nice. Well, again, do want to say thank you for coming in and jumping on the pod. Is there anything you want to say to that kid that's watching this right now? He's sitting there and he's like, man, I'm about to go grind Apex. I can do this. What's your advice to that kid?
Yeah, man. I mean, get out there. We only get one life, and none of us are promised tomorrow. So go after what you got and what you want in life, and you never know, man. You could be that one dude holding that trophy up. So go get after it.
Nice. Hey, you heard it here first. You go, you grind. That's the only way you're gonna succeed, is if you go and chase that dream.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate everybody tuning in. If you have not yet, please hit that subscribe and stay tuned for the next one. We've got guest number 3 coming up soon. Make sure you stay following on social medias and everything like that. That way you'll know when episode 3 will drop. Appreciate everybody. Peace.